Okay, ladies and gentlemen, good evening. Good evening, everybody.
Hi, everyone.
Yeah, if you can please put in your comment lines that you can see us and you can hear us. We are broadcasting from StreamYard, and we are, going to LinkedIn Live and YouTube Live. So if you can, put in your, comment line that you can, hear us and you can see us. There is a greetings from Finland. There's a, Finnish guy. Hey, so I see that some people are coming in already. So if you can put whether you are on the YouTube or on LinkedIn. Okay, perfect. We've got some confirmation.
We're live. We're ready to go.
Because in the past, unfortunately, you would need to have a second device to get comments on the LinkedIn. It was impossible. But now it's perfect that we can see you, we can and you can see us and hear us very clearly. That's great. Edward, Balsa, Edward is, by the way, Lisa from Switzerland,
Welcome. Greetings, fellow Swiss.
Absolutely. So maybe we can slowly kick it off. People are, coming in and basically introduce ourselves, because I think not everybody is like familiar with our, faces. And I will ask first Lisa to introduce herself, and then I will do the same for me.
Perfect. Hi, everyone. My name is Lisa Kristen. I'm the CEO of Kristen Coaching and Consulting. We're a boutique consulting firm right here in Switzerland. You might have noticed from my accent that I'm actually originally from New York. So if there are any Yankees fans out there. But what we focus on with my company is developing 21st century leaders, teams, and cultures. What the heck does that mean? We really want to make sure that everybody's ready for what does a 21st century career look like? What does it look like for companies? How do they get more agile? How do we do more of those human skills that we need? How do we work as a team as all of this new data is coming in? And we work with mostly Fortune 100 companies, Fortune 500 companies, big names that you've heard of: Google, Dell, Mars, Johnson & Johnson, those types. And we also work with scaling startups, because we know what the future is going to look like as they're creating it. So we want to really help them from the ground up. My background is also from business. I worked at Fortune 100, Sony, AIG. I have an MBA. And Jan and I actually know each other from the Institute of Coaching that's associated with Harvard. So, we're both very into the coaching scene, executive coaching. Jan will tell you more about what he's into. But I'm very excited to be here. If you have any other questions about who I am, check out my profile or put it in the comments here. Happy to say more. Jan, the man who needs no introduction, but please introduce yourself.
Sure, in case there's somebody who doesn't know me. Yeah, I'm Jan. I spent 22 years in Microsoft at the different, executive positions. I worked even 10 years with Bill Gates. My last job, I was a chairman for Europe. What I do now, I do like executive coaching. As Lisa said, we met at, Harvard Institute of Coaching. I'm also mental coach for the Czech Olympic top team. I coach even some, soccer players like Patrick Schick in Bundesliga. Patrick is playing for the Czech national team now in the European Championship. I have on the other screen here also. I need to make this,
focus.
I have on the other screen French Open, because one of the Czech tennis players is playing in semifinal. But don't worry, I'm like totally concentrated here. I'm just checking the score from like time to time. Anyway, and I teach also the kids. And I have now the third book, which is published. My first book was Positive Leader. The second book, Unlocking Children's Potential. And the third book, Family as a Team, is published right now as we speak. So that's the intro. And we will, kick it off. We promise basically the team, forget about the time. It's all about the energy, right? And the thing is that people are obsessed by like, hey, we need to manage our time. We need to squeeze it more, right? But the time is, finite, and the time will expire. Your energy is renewable, okay? And we've got like human beings 4, basic energies. It's our physical energy. It's our emotional energy. And what is emotion? Emotion is basically the place where your thoughts is touching your body. That's emotion. Then we have mental energy or mental toughness, if you will. It's our ability to, perform very well, even under the tough, conditions, during the tough matches, for example, or during the tough presentations or stuff like that. And then last but not least, there's a spiritual energy. And that's basically if human beings find a meaning in what they do, they are inspired and they are happy, they like what they do. And it's good not only from performance standpoint, but also from the health standpoint, because more endorphins, serotonin, oxytocin, dopamine are released. Those good hormones are improving your immunity. So we will talk a bit more in deep about those, but it is clear that while our predecessors in Greece, they call it kalokagatia, and they spend a lot of time to really nurturing those energies. Today, we rather still try to manage our time. And while, like, I coach a lot of athletes, okay, and in the sport, they train for 3-4 hours or they compete, and the rest is recovery. Recovery in sport is getting like that. That's the science, to really recover well, physically, mentally, and so on, right? But recovery in business is very often taken like, hey, it's a weakness. If I need to have a more rest, right? If I need to meditate, or if I need to do yoga, whatever. And that's bad. That's not good, because I was the guy who was a very successful in the business. On the other hand, I lived through huge failure. I was deeply depressed 10 years ago, almost 10 years ago, for 6 months. And it was not because I didn't like what I did. I love my job. I was in the flow, I was in the zone all the time. But unfortunately, I did not have enough mental rest. And if you are not, having enough mental rest, there is those chemicals during the night or during, the rest, during yoga or meditation, are like, cleaning your brain, after you perform. There's a lot of serotonin, oxytocin, endorphin release. And then the other chemicals during the break are supposed to clean your brain. If you don't have enough, rest, then you're getting more and more cortisol in your blood, which means like you are more and more stressed. Cortisol is not good for your mental health, and it's not good for your physical health. So, I mean, my depression started like a pain in my stomach and a pain in my back, because the mental pain is somatized in your body. I mean, I fully recovered, but it was really, really very tough. And the reason was that I was really like running. I was, even when I was running, or when I was in sauna, I was supposed to have a mental rest. My brain was still up and running all the time, right? So that's kind of the kickoff from my side, and then we can talk about some, good tools, how to develop those energies, how to make sure that you are like, hey, you use your energy, but then you renew your energy. So with that, I will hand over to Lisa.
Yeah. And Jan, I just want to make this comment. What popped into my head as you were talking, we often talk about this special term that we created called mental restoration. And it's, almost think about it like a credit card, right? So if on one day you're spending your energy, you're spending 250 francs or euros or whatever it is, your currency. And then at the end of the day, you say, okay, I'm going to get a little bit of rest. Okay, maybe you paid off the equivalent of 50 francs. That still leaves 200 left on the charge. So if we do that every day, hey, but look, I came home from work and I did a yoga class once a week. Isn't that, isn't that me taking me time? And isn't that me managing my energy? Well, over time, the debit gets greater and greater, and it compounds, right? Just like your credit card. If you don't pay it back at the end of the month, you owe a lot of interest the next month, and the next month, and the next month.
And while we know we cannot foolish the system, we foolish very often ourselves.
Yes, exactly. And so we tell ourselves, oh no, but of course, and this is, for me, this is the most important thing to remember, is the reason that people don't have enough restoration, or the reason they manage their time, it's not a lack of knowledge. I bet every single one of you have heard this phrase before: manage your energy, not your time. If it was just like, oh, someone just needed to tell me that and now I know how to do it, you'd be doing it. But even Jan and myself, we still struggle with it to some extent because it's so much in the nature of what achievement looks like, right? We think hustle culture, right? Elon Musk is sleeping on the floor. So that's what it looks like to be a superhero entrepreneur. And me, I'm trying to get off work at 6 o'clock. No way, it's impossible, right? And so we start to tell ourselves these stories about why we can't have mental rest. I want to share, I had a client last week. So I do executive coaching. Now, I had a client last week and she told me, she was in tears going, I have a condensed work schedule. I don't work Friday afternoons. My boss knows it. It's in my contract. It's there. And I feel like I can't tell anyone that I work with. So I don't schedule a meeting, but if someone schedules a meeting with me on Friday, I take it because I don't want them to know that I don't work on Friday afternoons. Now, here's the crazy part. She had went through this super peak time. She almost hit burnout. She hit a point where she said, no, I really have to start reinforcing my boundaries. By the way, coaching helps. I really have to start reinforcing my boundaries. Okay, so she started telling people, hey, you know, actually my work schedule, I don't work on Friday afternoons. And they all said, you don't? You never told it. Oh, we're shocked. And then they said, hey, you know what? Dirty little secret. I also, you know, do my workouts at lunch and I don't work for these 2 hours. Or I take mornings off on Tuesdays to do this. And it turned out everybody was doing some form of this, trying to make schedule work, but they were all faking it to everyone else so that they looked like they were working 24/7. We're just building a hustle culture on top of each other. So part of how do we get to managing our time, to managing our energy, is breaking free from this idea, I have to be hustling all the time. No, your performance is much better when you're not hustling, right?
Yeah, and there is a first comment. Guys, let's put, you know, comments, questions on, you know, your comment section. I'm checking it also. I'm running, you know, LinkedIn. Here we go on here on the phone. To make sure that everything is, you know, fine and I see all comments. But there is a first comment from Rob Tamashi. Constant pressure. It seems to be philosophy in capitalism. Run them to the ground, then replace them. And I think, you know, the real question is, because we measure progress in capitalism by the GDP, gross domestic product, okay? First of all, in this global economy, it's hard to measure, you know, who is doing what, so it's hard. But do we really need to, you know, run like every year 4 or 5%, you know, grow, or 3% growth, you know, right? That's the question, you know, whether it's really only those, you know, numbers, or whether it's about the quality of the life, right? Because, I mean, if you think about happiness, happiness is not about numbers. I mean, if you do business, it's all about the numbers, absolutely. But, and that's the idea of my book, if you are happy, happiness, human happiness, and the fact that you love what you do and you are inspired, it's long-term driver for the great performance. This is it, and great results, right? And that's why, and I tell you what, Rob, you are absolutely right. When I was presenting to the Bosch company, one of the top guys from Bosch asked, Jan, if you would not behave like you behave, do you think you would be successful? And my answer was, I think I would be even more successful, because I would, you know, better, you know what right? I would better, you know, handle my energy. That's what I know now. I didn't know that at that time, because I was a bit, you know, crazy. But this is spot on. I think the real question is, because our brain and you know, us, we are under the huge pressure. Your brain in 1 week today needs to process as much as information as the brains of our predecessors, you know, 100 years ago for the whole life. This is it. It's absolutely, you know, huge, right? I don't know, Lisa, if you wanted to comment on this like general statement, but I think it's the right one.
I think this is exactly it. So we feel more pressure, right? There was big news, for example, Amazon, lots of people are striking about their warehouse. And I don't point out Amazon for any reason in particular, sure. Just as top of mind. And they said, okay, we know our warehouse workers have to work sick and they're coming in. So what can we do to help with well-being? Here's a yoga program, right? Or here's a mindfulness training program. And it's like, Well, that doesn't really solve the root cause of what's happening. And I think I say that, but actually I think that's exactly what we do as individuals. I think we put a Band-Aid solution on, okay, well, I'm going to get extra exercise on the weekend, or I'll catch up on sleep on the weekend. I hear this all the time. I catch up then, so as though it makes up for that, I don't sleep during the week. It doesn't work that way. So we need to really be into how can we start to step into our sort of power and say, I need to find a way to find where's my right space, where's my right balance, where if I say, hey, I can't take a meeting after 6, not because I'm not hardworking, not because I won't get results, but because I can get you better results if I have the evening to slow down and shut down and turn off. So my first question to everyone out there is, what's tiny, small boundaries can you set that you know manage your energy best? And maybe I can give an example. And actually, Jan, I think this will also be a great question for you. I know I have, maybe you can tell I have very high energy levels, right?
That's
so
right.
I have to manage my energy.
Here, Marek Štěpánek is saying, you know, zdravím Honzo, it's like, hi Honzo, Lisa, your positive vibe, and then Finsky Krajanek is saying, after a very long time, our handsome coach Honza, it's like Jan, right?
Yeah.
It's not the most beautiful person on this.
Oh, right? Thank you. Yeah, beautifully.
Yeah, okay, let's get more serious.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's also true, right? It's always good to have compliments. That's an energy booster. Be on the lookout for those. But my mornings, I have to set myself up right in the morning or my whole day is ruined. And I'm not the person who says I need to avoid work, I need to do yoga, I need to meditate. Yeah. None of that. I need to do the opposite. I know in my head what's the most important thing I need to do that day. And I make sure I have 45 minutes to an hour where I'm single track focused and I get the most important thing done that day. Because if I don't, if I sleep in late, I say, I need to sleep. My kids wake up and I'm already like, okay, but I have to do that thing. So I'm trying to rush them out of the house. I'm trying, okay, my husband's okay, yeah, but I have to do this thing. And then I have my first client call and I'm like, okay, but when am I going to get to that thing, right? It's not managing my energy very well if I'm very nervous about something. So I always know, start the day accomplishing solid, most important work. Right. The rest of the day, smooth sailing. What about you, Jan? What's your morning routine, or what helps you sort of manage your energy?
What I do, let's put this down. And guys, whatever questions or comments you have, just ask them. I have a couple of more topics here for you. But morning routines are really important, right? Because the worst thing you can do if you go to the toilet, taking with the phone with you and starting with like emails and everything, because
92% of Americans do that, by the way.
It's very bad for your productivity. It's really bad because you should have first 1 and maybe 1.5 hours, just for you. Okay. So what I do, even before I get up, I meditate. I try to visualize the day, what will happen. I do, it's called, box breathing, like for 4, you breathe in, then you hold for 4, you breathe out, you hold breathing in and breathing out. That's what I do. Then I'm drinking like the cold water. Then I do the sport for 1 or 1.5 hours. If it's more intensive, it's 1 hour. It's less intensive, it's 1.5 hours. Then I have usually a very light breakfast, like strawberries, blueberries, stuff like, and the nuts, right? That's what I eat. Then I have like very cold, first, hot obviously, but then very cold shower. I do Wim Hof method, which is like cold water and the breathing, right? You create like artificial stress, on your body. And this is it. It's good like for you because it's like improving your immunity.
Yeah, and I need a tip on that though, because that takes a lot of mental strength.
Yeah. Wim Hof, figure out, because if you are in the cold water or under the shower, it is obviously like you are shaking like that and you cannot breathe. So he created breathing techniques. So it's still not nice to be in that cold water, but you can breathe normally. You can stay there, you know, right? And it's amazing. I do it for like 1.5 years. And like my, you know, fitness level and everything improve significantly, right? So that's another one. And then obviously, then there's like a whole day. And then what I do in the evening, it's basically, I call it remind. So I remind myself what was going, you know, well. Repair, which means like I'm learning from the thing which were not going very well, which I need to do, you know, differently next time. And then I try to imagine how I will do that activity in the future. So remind, repair, imagine. Okay, remind what was going well, repair, learn from what was not going well, and then imagine the future. And then in the evening, not necessarily today, but normally in the evening, I wear blue light blocking glasses, which is good. That it's good for your, you know, health. And basically blue light, if you watch like your, if you are still in front of the screen and it's not protected, your brain thinks like there's a 10 o'clock in the evening, and your brain thinks, oh, it's like, you know, 12 o'clock in the noon, you know, right?
Yes.
So this is called Horus. I can, you know, recommend it's a good one. And then last but not least, I don't have it because it's like getting recharged, but I have a small ring. It's called Aura Ring. And that measures the quality of my sleep, how I'm ready for the next day. It's amazing. It's better. I mean, I like the watches. Those are good for the sport, you know, right? But the watches are not measuring exactly heart rate and stuff like that, you know, right? So that you know, ring is better. So that's in the nutshell what I do. But it's really good if you start your day like for yourself. And one thing, if I run or if I, you know, drive my car, I'm always listening some podcast, because this is the way you can learn every day today. Thanks to the podcast and YouTubes, you can learn every day like for 2 hours from the best people in the world. This is it, you know, right? You need to, the problem with the human beings, it's not like, I mean, what is like the suffering or if people are not, you know, happy? It's the difference between your expectations and the reality. But I am very rarely telling people, put down your expectations right now. You know, work on your reality step by step. And that's why if you learn from the best, that's the way you can learn the fastest, you know, right? So that's in the nutshell, kind of my, you know, habits. But routines are really important, because once like sport, for example, look, I will be 60 next year, right? At the beginning of the next year. And, you know, those routines, like the sport, for me, it's like a drug, you know, right? I still have my fitness level is on the level when I was 40 years old. It's like 20 years less. Obviously, there is a chronological time which is there, like in my, you know, ID. But then there is a
but you look 40, you feel 40.
You know, that's what I'm saying. Anyway, so yeah.
I think you raise a really good point, which we haven't yet talked about today, but which is super important for people who say, okay, I want to manage my energy and not manage my time, but how do I do that? That's a big leap from where I am now, where I'm overscheduled with meetings and my, you know, my boss's expectations. And I think making these tiny habit switches, don't go crazy. It's like when people say, I want to lose weight. They don't say, I want to lose 1 kilo. They're like, I want to lose 20 kilos. I'm going to go on a crash diet. I'm going to exercise like crazy. And 1 week later, guess what? It doesn't work anymore. Yeah. That's a great point, by the way, Lisa. If you try to create some new routine, some new habit, usually people will say, oh, I want to lose like 10 kilos, right? And then they like sign in for the fitness center and some special diets. And after 1 week, there where they were. You're talking New Year's resolutions in January.
New Year's resolution does work in case you have like big, hairy goal, the big goal. Yeah. But then you have like small steps for every day, which means like, okay, if I wanted to lose, like say in 6 months, 10 kilos, which that means probably 1,200, 1,500 calories. So eating habits, number one. Then I need to exercise, I need to walk, and etc. And if you walk like every day, 10,000 steps, it's nothing. Everybody can do that, right? You can like mentally check it out. Like, hey, this is what I did. This is what I did today. Hormone, which is called dopamine, is released. Dopamine is like, giving you, it's reward hormone. Basically, it's saying, Lisa, you did a good job today. You manage your goal today. You reach your goal, right? This is why on those things like you reach your goal today, right?
I'm not wearing it now, but I have a fitness watch and it buzzes and it says you're awesome, you're in it to win.
And that's good. So dopamine is reward hormone, but it's also hormone which is giving you energy to continue with that activity in the future. So it's great. So it's great to have a big goals, but then you need to get, sub goals. Really, they call it process goals, right? As you go, like every day, what you need to do. And if you feel that progress, this is the way how you can get there, right? Basically, if you have just this big goal, forget it, right? But if you will not eat the whole elephant. You need to, go and do.
Exactly.
This is it, but I need to put it there. Finski granek 60 is new 25, and it's always right.
I support you, Mika.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, that's enough. Go ahead. Yeah.
I just think it's really important to reiterate. It's you only need small goals that are easy, right? For all of us who are time stressed at the moment, feeling like I need to take on another new thing. Oh, and now I need to manage my energy and I'm managing my time and it's hard and it's confusing. Listen, if you want to do one thing, get 15 minutes more sleep a night. Make that your goal for the next couple of weeks. Relatively easy, right? And once you've done it, you go, oh, okay, and now you're in a new routine and you're doing that. Okay, now for breakfast, I'm just going to eat Greek yogurt and fruit.
Exactly. Let's now talk, because you touch one important thing, is sleeping. Let's talk now about the physical energy, okay? And physical energy is basically what you eat and what you drink, okay? I mean, eating habits are very important. I think we should have a sugar under the control. If I am very reasonable person, very disciplined person with the food, but the sugar, okay? So I like ice cream and I like chocolate, so I try to get the dark chocolate and ice cream. I try not to have or a bit, but yeah. So this is it. But for the drinking, water is so important. And even people in the business, they are maybe drinking Coke there and the coffee. It's not enough. What counts only is a green tea. All other teas are not counting as a water, right? And the same with the coffee. It's good. I mean, you can drink coffee, but in general, we need to drink water, and very often we forget about it. Okay, so that's on the food. Then we should move, because a lot of us is like sitting, all the time, and we should, move. And at least for half an hour, if every day you move at least for half an hour, your, neuroplasticity, the way how your synapses are connected and your, brain memory can improve by 30%. It's huge, what you can do, right? Then you should understand that today we do a lot of things through the screen. And that takes very different level of attention, because if you are sitting in the room with the other people, you have, exposure to the other people, you are moving there and there by your eyes, that's fine. But if you concentrate like for 1 hour on the screen, your brain is getting very tired, right? So there is a couple of techniques what you can do, and it's only like 5, maybe 10 minutes. It's enough, right? Do following, like twice breathing in by nose and long breathe out by mouth. What it does, it's like cooling you down, and the long, breathe out is basically making sure that there is enough CO2, because hemoglobin needs right level of the CO2 in order to basically manage the hemoglobin task is basically to distribute oxygen in your blood. And if there's not enough CO2, if you do like that, so you immediately all CO2 is gone, right? You don't have your hemoglobin does not have enough CO2, and your level of oxygen is in the blood is lower, and your energy is lower. So that's one breathing technique. And the other one, go outside of the building, or at least open the window and try to go through like the horizon, right? It's good for your, eyes, but it's also good for your brain. And in the morning, one, habit which I do, whatever is the weather, I'm always like outside and getting, natural light, even if there's no sun. It's good for you. And if you get natural light only through the window, it's 50 times, less like active thing than if you go like outside, right?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, there are some great things that have come out of COVID-19 for me and for my routines, as I also went, how do I manage my energy, with the exact things you talked about. And I realized whichever days I can, I don't have meetings until 10 o'clock. And so I do my morning work, I get my kids ready for school, and then I do my fitness and outside, no matter what, crappy weather, raining, snow, this tall, get outside, because you always feel better after it. Always.
Exactly. And now let's talk about sleeping, guys, because sleeping is so important. I'll tell you why. A lot of people think if you learn something in the job, in the school, during the sports, whatever, that we are learning it immediately. That activity is learned immediately. It's not true, actually, because what you are learning is captured through new synapses, through new synaptical connections, among your neurons in your brain. And it's called neuroplasticity, right? And obviously neuroplasticity is happening during deep sleeping, which is, the first 2 hours usually before, the midnight, right? That's why especially if you learn something new, sleep is great for recovery. But also, if you are learning new things, you should have good sleep. And, today, really, like people in the business, we are like top athletes, but we don't have that, team around us, right? We don't have that team around us, definitely. And that's why it's like us. So we need to behave in the right, way, right? So this is it. Sleep is so important, and also for the kids. Kids should sleep 8 to 9 hours. Adults 6 to 8 hours. Right? So that's the definitely thing to do, right?
I also want to add here, Jan, which I think is super important. Maybe you've heard of this term. There's this new term going around. The equivalent in English is called revenge bedtime procrastination.
Yeah.
So you're so angry or annoyed or hurt. You had no freedom during the day because you were in back-to-back meetings and your boss needed this and the clients were mad about this and you didn't have time for yourself. You had to come home and cook dinner for your partner. And at the end of the night, it's like, this is finally my time for me when I get to do what I want and I have another long day ahead of me tomorrow. I don't want to do that. So I'm going to stay up really late just because I want some time that is in my control. And that sounds good in the moment, right? You feel like, yes, I have my time, but really most of us are just like scrolling on Instagram. It's really not doing any favors for us. And then we're exhausted the next day.
That's exactly, because it goes, a lot of people were like, I ask people on Instagram to sleep enough, right? And I've got like a lot of likes, like 700 likes, but somebody sent me, hey, I'm sleeping for 10 years, 5 hours, it's enough for me. I said, good luck, because the level of cortisol, which is generated, right? As you said, you are like more, nervous. And it's obviously getting like step by step, because guys, and that's another, point. If we have an acute stress, short-term stress is strengthening us, in fact, right? Our predecessors, when they used to have a stress, when they were like hunting, okay, so there were some tigers, lions, there was some stress, there was some adrenaline and cortisol, but then they were like having 2 weeks break or whatever. There was like no hunting, right? They were just, eating whatever. So they fully recover, right? Because cortisol and adrenaline, if it's like short term and provided we have a good recovery after that, those 2 hormones are improving your immunity. in case it's chronic. And that's exactly what we talk about with Lisa, that if people are not sleeping enough for a long time, it's like chronic, and then it can be disaster, like in my case, right? So we have Rob Tamashvi is asking, what worked for me in regards to sweeteners was to switch from sugar to sweetening with honey. That's and they can be proceed from natural. That's good. I think it is a good Rob. This is a good this is a good recommendation. Definitely, honey is still it's caloric, but it's a good sweetener, and it's more healthier than refined sugar.
Exactly. So, and that's, I just want to say, that's the perfect idea of if you can switch one thing, right? So instead of me adding sugar, I just add honey. It's small, but all those small things add up to be big. Right. Rob, I just started making my ice cream out of bananas. If you've ever done that, you can just, sort of blend up frozen bananas. It's pretty good as ice cream. So Jan, if you need a replacement.
Yeah, I mean, look, it is for sure. I think in general, I mean, now I'm able to get my sugar from the fruits, right? Yeah. Provided it's like, during the first half of the day, I think it's fine. Edward is saying, Edward Bassa is from Switzerland, and he's saying, singing is very powerful. Even if you are not Pavarotti, I do something like karaoke while biking, that's great. Try it out and don't care that reaction. It is absolutely. I think if I'm home alone, I also think singing is great, and even like listening to the music, right? Yeah. It's great. It's like absolutely new vibrations, and it's really the music itself. It's fantastic, right?
So first of all, I love that. And Edward, I'd love to find you and go biking and sing with you. I think it's also really important to say here, we talked about how do you manage your energy and not your time. One of the fastest and easiest ways I've found, I'm in a really bad mood or I'm super stressed, but I want to be calm and focused, turn on the right music. I need to relax. I turn on classical music. It takes a minute, 2 minutes, and I'm there. Right? I need to pump up. I put on, I don't know, some dance music, or if it's the case of my husband, he puts on like heavy metal and rocking out. Yeah, that gets the adrenaline going. Music can have such a huge impact on us that it can be used as a tool to help us with matching the energy we want to be feeling at the moment.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
This is one tip. As we give tips, like really small tips that people can use, sometimes people would say, I don't have a commute anymore with COVID, right? I'm at home or I'm working from home. How do I switch from work to home? And I said, good. What's your anthem? What's your end of day theme song? You've completed, you hit the song, it closes your workday, and you can now have a transition period over. And that can help your brain and your body to differentiate and give yourself my space now, and now I'm mentally free to be home with family.
Yeah, so we talk about the physical energy. Let's talk a bit about emotional energy, which is our ability to control our emotions, to be aware of our emotions and basically manage them, right? And what is necessary to say that all activities which are putting your brain in alpha frequency, which is 8 to 12 hertz, kind of the being in the present moment, are very helpful with your emotions. Now I will put the other question afterwards, but now let's talk about how emotions are created. A lot of people think that emotions are like hardwired in our brain. No, our brain is not, reacting. Our brain is predicting. So those emotions you have depends really very much what sits in your long-term memory. It's called subconsciousness, okay? Because you have some stimuli, and your senses are bringing this stimuli. Like this is kind of the picture what's going on, and your reaction doesn't go like immediately after this stimuli. But your reaction is based on what sits in your long-term memory, what basically on your all experiences. Your brain is like asking, hey, was I in the similar situation? And then your brain reacts. That's why some people are scared to death from some situation, and some people are absolutely, you know, fine because they were already in those situations. Because our brain, first of, it's not necessarily the thinking machine. You know, new thoughts, it's very little. We have like 90% of thoughts repeating every day. It's like 67,000. Exactly, right? Because if you would need to think all the time, that would be very energy consuming. So the brain is basically the machine which is enabling you to survive. That's your amygdala, helping you to survive. And the second point is your brain is budgeting energy, basically, for the body. If your brain would need to get a lot of what to do, that would be time consuming. That's why your brain is using what you basically learn. That's why learning is so important, right? That's how emotions are created. If you wanted to read good books, Lisa Feldman, she was, you know, speaking to us at Harvard Institute of
Yes.
Remember? So she talks about emotional variability, because some people, even psychologists, are teaching that there are only 6 or 7 emotions, you know, and it's not true. There are much more emotions, you know, we have, right? So this is kind of about, you know, emotions. The one trick I told you already how to handle, you know, emotions is basically remind. That's you remind yourself what was going on. Repair, basically make sure you accept what happened during the day and it was not necessarily positive. Learn from your mistakes, because we very often, our brain demonize the mistakes, right? We learn mainly from our own mistakes, because if you are making mistake, you know, adrenaline is released and pseudocolin, which is the hormone like doing the laser focus, telling you, hey, this is important. You need to pay attention. You should not, you know, repeat that kind of the mistake. That's why we learn from mistakes. And the most, Bill Gates was always saying the success is very lousy teacher. You know, right? And yeah, so this is it. That's why it's like remind what was going well, repair what was not going well, and imagine in the future how you can do it. Okay. Then definitely Wim Hof method. I would, you know, recommend you how you manage your emotions, because it's like breathing and it's a cold water. And basically what it does, it's lowering your pH. So it's improving your immunity, but it's also getting your, you know, body into the present, you know, moment, right? So it's good. Then, you know, all like breathing exercises, if you especially like breathing in by mouth, breathing in by nose, breathing out by nose, or like twice breathing in, breathing out, it's good. Then there is a one special which I do mainly with athletes, but also with people from the business. It's called Yoga Nidra. It's not yoga. Yoga Nidra, it's basically guided meditation where you are connecting your body, your breath, and your thoughts, you know, your mind, right? It's basically the guy is telling you, hey, you know, relax your, you know, hands, and you are like breathing. It's good if you have a problem with the sleeping also, that it's kind of the routine thing you are getting. It's like you are relaxed, you're cooling down. It's, you know, really, really good. So those are a couple of, and obviously yoga, Tai Chi, those are a couple of things which you can do for like, you know, your emotional energy, to make sure that you keep your emotions under your own control.
Yeah, and super important around emotions. Inevitably, no matter what an executive comes to me for coaching on, we end up going to emotions, right? Because almost always the root cause is something in the prediction machine isn't serving you anymore. Yeah. And the emotional part is like, what am I feeling, and is it okay that I'm feeling it, right? Because a lot of times what happens is I feel an emotion, I feel jealous, or I feel envious, or I feel not good enough, and that feels really crappy. And so I don't want to feel it. So I say, no, I'm tough. I'm going to power through. I'm a business person. I don't let emotions get in my way, right? But the problem with that, in theory, that works, but in reality, the rest of your body hasn't forgotten that you felt that way. Maybe you've tried to clear it out of your brain, but the rest of your body hasn't forgotten it.
Exactly.
And so until you can actually show up to emotions and go, okay, what is it that I'm actually feeling? Why am I feeling this way? use it as information. It does not mean, and you know this, and this also comes from Susan David. She's at Harvard.
Another one. Yeah.
Emotions, you don't want to ignore them completely because they still stay there. On the opposite side, you don't let them run the show, right? It's not, oh, I feel angry, so I'm going to kick and scream and throw up a fit forever. No, emotions don't run the show, and you don't ignore them. You do something in the middle where you look at them with curiosity and you say, what information do you have for me? That comes into the learning that you have, right? So I always tell people, listen, if you feel scared, that's normal. All of us feel fear. Like, that means your brain is working appropriately. So congratulations, you have a healthy working brain. That's good. And I say, listen, what's the difference between bravery and courage? Most people say, yeah, it's the same thing. You're brave, you're courageous. Yeah. I say, no, bravery is I have no fear and I go and I do it. Courage means I have fear and I can do it anyway. Right. So if you're feeling nervous, uncomfortable, I have to have a hard conversation with someone, I'm feeling fear, great, call on your courage, step in. It's okay that you're feeling nervous. Why am I feeling nervous? Oh, I'm afraid I'm going to mess this up. Great. Now that you know that, you can prepare and then you can go in, right? So the emotions are not something to run from. They're the best source of information to know, what do I need to do to feel better? And most of the bad energy that you have in your body, you know this, Jan, I'm sure others listening, most of the energy that we have, we're fighting negative emotions. I don't want to feel crappy, so I'm going to avoid them by scrolling on Instagram, right? My situation's hard. I should lower my expectations. No, we should fix whatever's going on so that we can get job. And clearing your emotions has the most sort of power to really getting you raised up. So I strongly encourage everybody, if you need help, get in touch with me or Jan. Like, if there's anything you can do to manage your energy better, it's learning how to clear those emotions. And from my perspective.
Yeah, absolutely. Because, Lisa rightly said, emotions is from Latin emovere, which means energy in motion, right? And what she said, it's profound because, there is a huge difference between, if you will say, I have a fear, you basically agree with your amygdala that you have a fear, and then the whole, circle of the fear will happen, right? You basically, if you will say, I have a fear, your amygdala will run your brain. If you will say, I observe my fear, okay, that's something different. That means if you observe, that means that still your logical part of the brain is observing, doing something. And then obviously the question is, why do I feel the way I feel? What was the trigger? What kind of thoughts, was causing my feelings? And this is it. And once you will start to, use your emotions like that, then it's great. Now it's like French Open, and Djokovic, who is #1 there and who is #1 worldwide, he's saying basically that, if you take top 100 players, they have more or less the same strokes, volley, serve, smash or whatever. But the real difference is in emotions. The real difference is in the mental toughness. He's saying that up to the 90% of the success in tennis, it's, mental toughness. It's your ability to play, even if like you play, somebody's having match ball against you, you are still able to play it as like ball one, right? And this is it. Because like, if I asked Rafael Nadal 2 years ago, I spent some time at the US Open, and Rafael Nadal is a great example. He's able, whatever happened with the previous ball, it's gone. Whether it was successful or whether it was like I lost it, doesn't matter. I need to concentrate on my current ball. Otherwise, if I'm still with my mind in the past, I'm not able to reflect reality. That's what Buddha was saying, that only if we can control our mind, we can be in the present moment. Only if we are in the present moment, we can observe reality. If we can observe reality, we see that everything is changing. If we see that everything is changing, we are not attached to anything, and we go back to the present moment, right? This is it. And that's what Rafa can forget immediately about the last ball and concentrating on this ball. And you go like ball by ball, right? And it's the same, like if you have like tough presentation in front of your leadership team, you go like one slide after the other, right? This is it. I mean, right? The only thing, look, I'm the guy who was like brought up in the village for like 20 years. I was living in the small village, right? There was at that time Czechoslovakia. And then 10 years I studied like, at the university. And a couple of years after, the changes here, I was, in Microsoft, and I was running the huge region, Central and Eastern Europe, 31 countries. And opposite to me was like Bill Gates, Steve Ballmer. Bill Gates was the richest person in the world. Steve Ballmer was the third richest in the world. So I would really need, and it was like whole day, and it was not only me presenting, my team was presenting, but still 100% attention. You would need to go like step by step. If we were like presenting Czech Republic and Slovakia, I should not thinking about what will happen during the Hungarian presentation. You know what I mean, right? You were like here and now, about, and this is it. So what you can do, you can only rely on yourself and on your, brain, on the ability of your brain. And that's what I learned. I could really concentrate for like 12, 15 hours, number by number, right? And it's like, and it is a tough, you need to learn that, but this is it. Then talking about emotions and general, learning patterns, right? It is much better for learning. Repetition is more important than the length of the learning. I'll explain you why. If you will learn new language, for example, it's much better to learn every day half an hour very intensively, as opposed like one day a week, like Sunday, I will, learn for 5 hours. I tell you why. Because those synapses in your brain, those connections, those are like fluid connections. They are enabling chemical and electrical signals among the neurons. They need some time to get properly connected. That's why it makes no sense to push a lot of knowledge, learn everything like one day. It's really like step by step, and this is the best way how that neuroplasticity, which will be sustainable, will be created, right?
Agreed. And I love that you said earlier, every day you say, repair, recover, think about what went well. What do I need to, remember that could go better? What did I learn? And I ask my daughters that every night as part of our bedtime routine. Similar questions.
She can do your hairs,
Jan knows my young daughter. Sometimes she has to come in on meetings.
Because we have like meetings on Friday afternoon. Lisa sits in Switzerland. She's American. And I sit, we are in the same time zone, but our colleagues, it's like Friday morning, always for them, for US, right? Lisa is there. Like 30 people, 30 top coaches, and suddenly Lisa's daughter started to make it.
Gotta keep her occupied, She comes with a hairbrush. She's standing behind me. I think my hair was like up here.
That was amazing.
Authenticity. Right? I mean, but listen, you got to manage your energy, right? I could have been, oh my God, I'm nervous. I got to keep her away. No, how do I? And I just said, hey, come on in, right? This is real life. This is a great bonding time with Jan and our other colleagues. So funny, right? And that's the difference between stressing out about everything and just being able to be in the present moment and go with what's happening. I keep Jan,
By the way, Czech player won, she is in the final.
Oh, she probably, used all your tips.
It was a very tough match. I think she made the 5th match ball and she returned like 2 match balls from the Greek, lady. But it's there, I hope that the Czech soccer players will also play well. Anyway, let's go. We have still 2 more energies. We have a couple of, more minutes. Yes. Let's talk about the mental energy, right? Mental energy, ladies and gentlemen, it's our ability to concentrate. And today, people in average, there's some psychology study, in average, we can concentrate only 12 minutes, okay? Because the brain is so much distracted. Your brain in 1 week needs to process as much as information as the brains of our predecessors 100 years ago for the whole life. So there's a huge, pressure. If you do some activity and somebody would call you, it takes you 14 minutes to get on the same level of attention, to get back. It's called switching cost, right? So now the question is, how can we do it? And I think Lisa mentioned it. It's about being in the present moment. It's about mindfulness. I mean, mindfulness sometimes sounds very esoteric, so I'm using the word total mental training, right?
I like that. Here's how I stay in. I don't know if you guys can see this. I have a watch that says now.
Now, yeah.
And every time I just get like thrown off.
This watch doesn't show you like yesterday or tomorrow. It shows now.
Yeah.
So what you can do things mindfully. Like I can, drink this water automatically, or I can sip and figure out how this water is going to my, stomach, right? You can mindfully eat. You can mindfully walk. You can walk your dog. Your dog is always in the present moment, right? And if you will start to do things mindfully, be in the present moment, that will have a great impact on your ability to concentrate, but also on your ability to be like in the present moment and perform very well, right? It's really, really, amazing what you can do. And you can start always. And it's like, if you will do the meditation, mindful meditation is in fact the same thing. I mean, and you can meditate. It's like basically you can follow your breath, or you can have some, mantra. The mantra, Deepak Chopra, taught me, is a good friend of mine. So it's like, if you are like breathing in, you go like, so, boom, so, boom. So it means nothing. I mean, it means something in Indian, but nothing you can figure out. So it's like good. It's like mantra. It's cooling you down. So I don't know, Lisa, if you have any trick for the better attention.
I have a very important trick, which is don't keep your phone next to you. Even if you're not using it, if you're not looking at it, but you know it's there, your concentration is automatically distracted.
Right.
Even if no one's texting you, your brain is there. So what I do when I want to do my deep work is I put this in another room, and then I'm here, right? And so I think it's really hard to use willpower to say, okay, be here. Okay, someone's calling though. Okay, something's here. Okay, be here, right? That's a lot of hard work. So instead, just design your environment to make it as easy as possible. If I just move my phone away, it's not that I can be distracted by it, right? When someone's coming in. So how can you design your environment? Jan, like you said, I have tons of natural light. I have plants all around me to just give me natural place. I automatically say, okay, I stand up for at least 5 minutes before meetings. I mean, just small things where I can say, okay, how do I refocus so that it's easy for me to come back to the present? It should never feel hard. Right? It's how do I set up routines so that it feels really easy to come back? And something as simple as this, just rub 2 fingers together, come back to the physical sensation, or put your feet on the ground, ground yourself.
Yeah.
Okay. Right?
Absolutely.
Small things, guys. You don't have to change the world overnight.
And the last energy is spiritual energy. Let's go a bit into the history. The first gentleman who really wrote some significant book about the meaning in your life, the purpose of your life, was Viktor Frankl. Viktor Frankl survived a couple of Nazi camps. He got it. The Man's Search for Meaning is the name of the book, right? And he's basically saying that if you have a meaning in your life, if you have your own purpose, that you can survive, everything. And now I'll give you some small tool from my first book, The Positive Leader. You basically, how you can figure out your own purpose, your own why, your own, personal mission. Okay. Yeah. Take first your talents, kind of the who you are, self-awareness. You can do Strengths Finder test from Gallup, right? You can Strengths Finder. It's a good one. It's like $20. You can get top 5, talents. This is kind of the who you are. Then the second circle is what do you like? What you are passionate for? What kind of activities you love? I mean, the talents, this is genetic information you were born with, and those talents are more or less developed. Some are developed more, some are developed less. You can develop them. The passions are the activities which, you really love. And basically where your, talents, who you are, overlaps with your passions, that's the flow. Flow are moments when you do something which is very tough for you, but you are using your best, talents. And if you are in the flow, you are like 500% more productive. You are 450%, learning faster, and 400% more creative. So that's the flow. But it's still, flow is not yet your purpose, because your purpose should go beyond you, right? Because we are human beings. Absolutely. Our brain is wired to help other people, because we started to cooperate. That's why humankind is so much ahead of the others, right? And this is why we need to put there the third circle, and that's the circle of your personal values. Now, the question is, why personal values if we talk about society? Because your personal values are reflecting what you admire in some people who are like role models for you. If you take like 5 people who are role models for you, and one trait, one thing per each person, those are your personal values. And then where the circle of who you are, the circle of talent, circle of passions will overlap with the third circle, and that's the circle of personal values. It's your meaning. And last point, I wanted to say that the most the people who are the happiest are those who are making other people happy through something they love, through something they really love. They own purpose, right? And they are very happy. And it doesn't matter, it can be in the sport, business, art, it doesn't matter. So this is kind of the easy to use tool, how you can figure it out, what is your purpose, if you will.
How did you jam pack so much good information into 1 hour, Jan? That was pretty incredible, huh?
Look, this is my very structured paper. It's a lot of, look, I'm 60 years old. It's a lot, in the brain, right? So I'm not drinking coffee. I'm not drinking alcohol. And I do a lot of sports. So my brain is quite fresh. No, it's, I mean, it's, it was a, so Lisa, do you want to comment the spiritual energy somehow and the meaning?
Gosh, I know we're at the end of our hour, and I want to be respectful for anybody who was planning on just joining for an hour. So I guess what I want to say is, I think you're spot on, which is looking to, how do I serve some greater purpose? Exactly. That feels so important. And it's so hard to know. So don't put pressure on it. Like, Michael Phelps knew he wanted to be this swimmer and be this amazing thing. And some people are born with this natural knowledge. And if you're not, that's okay. The best thing that you can do is test some stuff out, right? When I was looking for my purpose, I said, I really want to help people. So I joined a not-for-profit. Okay, do I want to help, entrepreneurs in Africa? Oh, maybe there's something. Oh, maybe I want to help the dolphins get out of the nets, right? So if you don't know, it's not a mental exercise. Go experiment. See how your body reacts. Mind and body together give you the information to know, do I like this because I think I should like this, or I should care about it? Or do I really just get so much energy? I'm passionate. I'm excited about it. Go there. That's where your natural purpose
This is a spot on, Lisa. So much energy and positivity. Ronald, we send you so much energy and positivity. Thank you very much, Ronald. Thanks everybody. We just, starting with this, setup. Every 2 weeks we will do it. It'll be different team. We will always, put it on LinkedIn. Everything will be recorded, so it will be on LinkedIn and on YouTube. And like every first week, we will be on the Clubhouse the same time, Thursday evening, 8 o'clock, 8 p.m. CET, let's put it this way, right? And then the second week we will be here. So like every second week we will be on the Clubhouse, and every second week we will be on the YouTube and on the LinkedIn. And this is it. So thanks guys very much, and looking forward. Thanks very much, Lisa. That was great.
Thanks everyone. Great. Yeah. And by the way, for anyone.
And the Czech tennis player won, right?
But for anyone who has questions in between, or who has specific topics you want us to cover with this Leadership Unleashed series.
We are on the LinkedIn, Instagram, everywhere.
Exactly. So connect with us, find us, chat with us. We'd love to engage with you. We'd love to see you next time around.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, everyone.
Namaste.
Take care.
Bye-bye.